Greetings from Bloomington, Illinois. My wife and I moved here in 2014 after living nearly 20 years in Burlington, Iowa. So you can understand how sometimes Bloomington and Burlington get mixed up. They have too many similarities in enunciation as well as spelling. We moved here to provide support to our older son, who has 6 adopted children, each with a multiplicity of complex emotional and psychological needs, caused primarily because of the abuse of drugs and alcohol during pregnancy. One of the grandsons has significant signs of shaken baby syndrome. Their needs are more complex than what most of us can never comprehend, and I have only begun to comprehend it as I have been 4 doors from them and involved in some of the complexities of that. Judy helps almost every school day when they get home from school, and does mom things, but sometimes spends time just trying to get a child calmed down. I'm your professor for this Greek class, Cultural Dynamics of Congregational Ministry. It's a class that I'm passionate about. We are in a revision kind of stage, so you will be hearing about that as we go along. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a graduate of Moody Bible Institute, Dallas Theological Seminary, and I earned my doctorate at Trinity Evangelical Divinity School. Plus, I've taken additional classwork at each of those schools, as well as other universities and colleges. Part of my growing up was my parents had a passion for ongoing, lifelong learning that has stimulated me. They were key lay couple in planting a church in 1940 on a gravel road 10 miles from the closest town of 3,000 people. At times in the spring of the year, the road was the same as impassable because what we used to say, the bottom fell out. When the frost went out of the ground, it was a mud road and complex. But the church continues to exist today and thrive. They have 2.5 pastors, and it's exciting what God is doing. And I'm sure they look down from heaven and rejoice over all the tough times they went through to get that church started. But they also had a passion for Moody Bible Institute and its multifaceted ministries. So as a consequence, my sister, my brother and his wife, and me are all graduates of Moody Bible Institute. Plus, my wife is a graduate of Moody. Our 3 children are graduates of Moody, and 2 of their spouses are graduates of Moody. A baby interfered with the 3rd graduate. And we have 2 grandchildren who have taken studies at Moody, and we have another grandson headed to Moody, Chicago this fall. So we have a strong connection with Moody Bible Institute, and I love teaching for Moody Distance Learning. My ministry journey began, really under the influence of pastors when I was in junior high and high school, but officially I became a pastor when I was a student at Moody, and traveled 200 miles about every Friday afternoon and back on Monday morning very early on the train, and pastored a small village church in south of Galesburg, Illinois. So I learned, and as I have learned from that experience as well as the little country church that I attended, I have learned a lot about culture. I am thankful for my training at Moody. After graduating from Moody, I stayed in that village church for another 4 years. Also, a week after graduation, I married Judy, who is my team partner and loves ministering with me as we serve the Lord in various capacities. We have 3 children. Andrew is our older son, and he also ministers with Moody Distance Learning. He and his wife have 5 biological children in addition to the 6 special needs adopted children. Their children range in age from 7 to 28. They have 4 married children and 3 grandchildren. Our younger son, Stephen, joined the Army at age 39 with a passion to fulfill what he wanted to do when he was in junior high, and that was to become a lawyer. And the Army gave him that opportunity. He graduated from William and Mary Law School with his jurisprudence degree. He is stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and returned in mid-December from 9 months of deployment in Afghanistan, while his wife held down the fort with the 6 children who are still at home, as well as 4 children who are married, and one of them has 3 children. So that gives us, if you counted carefully, 3 children, 26 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren, with another one on the way. Judy and I have served the Lord in Herman, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Pontiac, Illinois, Glendale, Texas, McHenry, Illinois, and Burlington, Iowa. I've been a solo pastor, and I've been a pastor with a staff of 15 and a volunteer staff of 150. So we have a variety of cultural settings where we have served the Lord. In addition, in 2008, I joined Interim Pastor Ministries. We have been an intentional interim specialist as we serve the Lord in Garner, Iowa, Williston, North Dakota, and Derby, Vermont. Each of those situations, we needed to learn the culture, adapt into the culture as quickly as we could, but to help the church understand their own congregational culture, as well as the culture of their community, and how the Lord Jesus wanted to use them in that cultural setting to spread the gospel. A question I like to ask is, why does Jesus want your church to exist this day at this location for eternal purposes? It's not an easy question to answer, and to answer quickly, but it is one that every church needs to ponder deeply. I love to equip people for ministry in the spirit of Ephesians 4:12. Together we're going to learn how to understand our own culture as well as that of our church and our community. I'm looking forward to learning with you. There's going to be some hard thinking and some tough things to work through in our own lives. It won't always be comfortable and cozy, but it will be rewarding as we work together over the next 8 weeks. I've already posted some very important announcements in the announcement section. Revised grade weighting, you may want to download that, perhaps print it. You revised assignments and discussion boards. We'll talk more about that in coming days. I encourage you to download that PDF so you have it very easily accessible. At least for me, I like to see where I'm at and where I'm headed. Let's get acquainted. I want to get to know you, and I have some specific things there that I want you to address. 5 clues to succeed, the basic course expectations, the weekly and course objectives and the themes, Moody Distance Learning philosophy of discussion boards, basic course objectives, expectation. I have some due dates in that document so that you can plan ahead. Welcome to the class. I can cover some more details. And then there are 3 about MLA writing format. So those are very important. I've had students struggle and negatively impact their final grade because they didn't bother to read or listen to announcements. Generally, I will post a video on Monday and Friday to just help you think through what needs to be cared for, to give you some encouragement, to chat with you and be better acquainted with you. Always feel free to shoot me an email or to give me a call or a text, I try to respond quickly. You'll learn more about me under the faculty info tab in the upper left-hand corner of Blackboard, as well as in the discussion board where I have posted my introduction. So God bless you. Have a great week.